Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar hosted by the findyourfunds.org partners on federal tax dollars that families and workers are able to claim this year. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Allison Bovell-Ammon. I'm the Director of Policy for Children's Health Watch, and we're proud to be partners with the wonderful folks on this call around this important issue. Today, we're going to talk about the available tax payments for people and families and where they can access them. This year, more than ever, it is important that all families file taxes, and you'll learn more about why this is the case during the webinar. First, a couple of housekeeping notes. This webinar will be recorded and it will be available on the Children's Health Watch website as well as findyourfunds.org following the webinar. We'll also email the webinar recording when it is available to those of you who registered. You will see on your screen a Q&A box. Please be sure to submit questions in the box, and we'll take about 15 minutes at the end to answer them. You should also be able to see a way to bump up questions. If you have the same question as something that someone else has already asked, please feel free to upvote your question so that we make sure to get to the most pressing questions you all have. So the goal of our webinar today is to increase access to cash for people who don't typically file taxes. And we'll talk a little bit more around the tax filing thresholds and what payments people may be able to get and how to access those payments in a moment. But this is really what we're all here to accomplish today. The group of organizations you see here on the screen have come together as a coalition to help increase awareness and access payments. And together we created, through the leadership of the Shaw Family Foundation, findyourfunds.org. This is a simple website designed to help people figure out what tax credits they might be eligible for and where to find free help in Massachusetts. We designed this resource with you in mind. You do not need to be a tax expert to use the information on the site, and we hope that you will use this resource to let families and individuals know about the thousands of dollars they may be eligible for by filing taxes. I'll now turn it over to Angela Tavares, attorney at the Greater Boston Legal Services, to talk more about what payments are available and how to access them.
Hi, so I'm going to explain a little bit about why filing taxes this year is so important for Massachusetts families. There are a lot of changes that make filing taxes especially vital for people who have low income and people who have no income. And the American Rescue Plan Act expanded multiple tax credits that help our families. But in order to access these credits, you have to file a tax return. And it's sort of unusual that the IRS, which is normally seen as a collection agency, has become sort of a welfare agency, welfare in the best sense of the word. And there's sort of a leap we have to make with people working with low-income folks and with people who are afraid to access the system, that it's safe to file your tax return and get this money, even if you have no tax liability. So people who, we all know that because of COVID, we received some stimulus payments. And most people in the country did, but a lot of people didn't. And the way to get those stimulus payments, if you didn't get it, is by filing a tax return and asking for the recovery rebate credit. So there were 3 stimulus payments issued. The last one for $1,400 is the one that you can claim on your 2021 tax return. And we're in the midst of tax season now. So folks who didn't get that money can file their tax return and get $1,400 for themselves if they didn't get it, and their dependents. If they missed the first 2 payments, they would have to go back and file a 2020 tax return, which they can do, and request those monies. And even though most people we know receive the money, it's estimated that a couple 100,000 over that amount, 220,000 in Massachusetts didn't get it. So again, in order to file and get that money, you have to file a tax return. And that last payment is $1,400 for adults and their dependents of whatever age. Next slide. Hi. Okay. Something dear to my heart is the child tax credit. The child tax credit, when social scientists talk about it, they use words like, or economists, like transformative or historic or game changer. It is really an unprecedented change in how we help families. Unfortunately, it's only for tax year 21. We were not successful in having it extended, but we have what we have. So to get the tax credit, one would need to file 2021 taxes in order to access the second part of the credit, because the first part of the credit was issued in advance. So if you have kids, most likely you saw some checks or some bank account changes for you, because under ARPA, or the American Rescue Plan Act, the government didn't want to wait until 2022 for you to access this credit. So even though it's a credit that belongs to 2021, they issued advance payments. So the distribution of the tax credit changed. And from July to December, monthly payments were issued to people who the IRS knew or estimated that those people deserved that money. But it depended on if the IRS knew about you. So they were looking for kids who were eligible. And if the child was under the age of 6, you were eligible for $3,600. And half of that amount was given in those monthly payments. So $300 a month. And if the child was 6 to 17, you're eligible for $3,000. Half of that amount issued last year. So $250 from July to December. But the IRS needed to know where those kids were. So they didn't have a 2021 tax return. So how did they do it? They looked to see if you filed 2020 taxes, if you filed 2019 taxes, if you used an online portal for one of the stimulus payments. And if they saw that there were children that qualified, they started sending money. But if you were unknown to the IRS, if you were outside the system, they didn't know where to send the money. So there are people who work and do not make enough to have a filing requirement. So they don't file taxes, as a matter of course, because they're not required to. There were people, a lot of people who, we all know them, who lost their jobs and didn't have any income. So there were people with zero income, and the IRS didn't know about them. And they estimate that there are 58,000 kids who are missing out on this credit. So even though they issued the advance payments last year, this year, if you find these kids, you can get the entire credit. So $3,600 per child or $3,000 per child, depending on their age. And this is, this I've really seen in my practice just be an amazing help for families. I mean, I have a series of homeless moms. I have moms who have disabled children. They are not in the tax system, and they have 2 kids, they're getting $10,000 with this plus an economic impact payment. And there's been studies around the country showing how much those monthly payments helped and how much they decreased people's food insecurity, how many kids were lifted above the poverty line. And you realize that childhood poverty becomes a policy decision, not a reality we have to live with. But Ansel and later will talk to you about getting the word out, because I have a hard time convincing some people that this is something they can ask for. They don't believe that they're necessarily entitled to it. They think they have to pay it back. And really, this is intended to help people, and it is helping people. I mean, most of us are getting it. Most American children live in households that do not pass the income threshold to get the child tax credit. So I would urge you, especially if you know anyone who has kids who looks like they're low income, who might be immigrants, to ask them, did you file your taxes? Or do you know where to go to file your taxes? You don't have to be, like Allison said, you know, a tax expert to see how important this money could be to a family. Next slide, please. Okay, another tax credit that was changed is the earned income tax credit. So this has been a longstanding credit. It's been around for decades. It's a work credit, so you need earned income. The previous credit, the child tax credit, you don't need any income. You can have zero income for that one, but for this one, you need to have some earned monies. And it's been changed to, it's been made wider to include more folks in terms of age, because previously people who were over 64, so 65-year-olds, people 19 to 24, they really didn't, they were sort of out. So there are temporary changes that makes it more generous to a wider group of people. So if someone has 0 children, no children, so they're single filer, they can get, say, 3 times what they would have been able to get. So someone with no children is now newly eligible, and it really is, like, for a long time considered the largest anti-poverty federal program in the country, which we don't think about tax credits being an anti-poverty programs, but they truly are, and that's why tax centers and volunteer tax sites are you will see them in hospitals like Boston Medical Center, because they know that this money helps poor families and will increase health outcomes. And there's plenty of studies showing that. So in 2021, you could get up to $6,728 if you have 3 qualifying kids. If you have 2 qualifying kids, you can get $5,980. And with 1 qualifying child, you can get $3,618. And if you have no kids, you can get about $1,500. In Massachusetts, like some other states, has its own earned income tax credit, and it's a percentage of the federal. So you can get state monies when you file your state return. And again, this is an extremely valuable credit, and 1 out of 5 people don't get it. And why don't people get it? When you would think, if it's money out there, it's free money, I should be able to get it. But there's so many barriers to low income immigrant folks to getting tax help, to be finding trust in the system, and believing that this is for them. So my biggest ask to everybody listening would be, if you work with kids, to ask their parents. I mean, my kids go to Boston Medical Center. And when I started working at the tax clinic, I got a call and they asked me a series of questions. And the last question was, do you have some place to do your taxes? And I thought that was so strange. I didn't understand at the time, why were they asking me that? And I thought, how brilliant. They have really figured something out, that this is about people's welfare and their health. And if we can just direct people to resources, then they will access those resources. But sometimes when I talk to immigrant families, I'm just struck by all the fear and the misconceptions. And when trusted folks tell them, you can go and someone will help you, and give them my phone number, all of a sudden I get one homeless mom after another calling each other. Or I've got families with disabled children who were worried that if I ask for this money, is it going to hurt me? And they ask me over and over again, and I tell them, no, this money will not hurt you. It will not affect any of your other benefits if you're getting them for your kids. It won't affect your immigration case because it's not part of a public charge analysis. But I think it's really up to us to let people know. So here's an example of how these credits can help a family. So if you have a single parent of 3 kids, so you got a baby, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and that person made $10,000 last year, and we're assuming they're all citizens, and they didn't get any of those monthly payments like we talked about from July to December. If they filed that one tax return, that family will be able to get over $15,000. And 2021 babies qualify. So if you had a baby in 2021, you could get up to $3,600 in the tax credit. You could get, with 0 income now, you could get $1,400 in the stimulus payments. And if you had some earned income, you could get even more. And I have some pediatricians who regularly, are informing their new moms, call my office, especially the ones who look like they're disconnected, maybe are immigrants and not aware that they can even file taxes with no income or little income. Okay, again, immigrants can qualify for some of these payments for their kids. So for the earned income tax credit, you need those Social Security numbers for everything. But for the child tax credit, if you have a person who's undocumented themselves, but they have kids who were perhaps born here and have Social Security numbers, they can access those credits for those children. But in order to access the credits, they have to be able to file a tax return. And in order to file a tax return, you need some kind of number to identify you to the IRS. And if you're not eligible for a Social Security number, the IRS will issue you an individual taxpayer identification number. And this number will allow you to file your taxes. And thousands of people have been filing taxes with ITINs for many years. Many in the hopes that one day they'll be able to regularize their immigration status. I mean, I have people who find me to get ITINs who really have no benefit to themselves and actually owe taxes, but they want to participate and just want to pay their share of taxes. So with ITINs, you can really help a family who has US citizen kids or kids with Social Security numbers. So here's another example. If you've got a family with 4 kids and the person made no income, and I find these people in my practice because a lot of, especially moms, lost their jobs during COVID and had nothing except whatever benefits they could get through the kids, because they were themselves as undocumented folks aren't really eligible, but the kids get some benefits. But through the tax system, they can get a lot more now. And if that person gets an ITIN, they can get that child tax credit up to you can see like 10,000 and up for a lot of folks. They can get that last stimulus payment for that child. If you have somebody who's, say, in the process of regularizing their status and they're going to get a Social Security number, they can also, if they get that Social Security number before the tax filing deadline, get even more money. But again, it all depends on whether the person files that tax return. So it's money that's being lost, and people who are connected can figure it out. But people who have barriers because they're afraid or they don't know where to get help. And I would encourage you, any of you who know people who want to participate in this, you don't need to be a tax expert and do tax returns to tell people about this tax credit. My kids go to Boston Public Schools. They set up help with other kids, a sort of a tax club. Their classmates, some of them immigrants or immigrant families, went out and put flyers in bodegas and some churches and supermarkets, laundromats, sort of telling people. I've seen around the country, people have been doing really interesting things trying to connect families with these credits. People have been going door to door. I saw articles of Detroit moms with their child tax credit T-shirts going around. It's really impressive. We're working with a community group in Chelsea to provide tax services. Ansel's going to tell you all about the volunteer tax services. And this money, finally, it doesn't affect people's other benefits. So if you've got a family that is getting food stamps or SSI, their insurance, they're in shelters, people are really worried about asking for too much. And they don't need to worry about this, because this is really meant to help them. People have been through a lot, and this is good news. It's not like when I have to do other talks about, say, immigration relief or something that's so difficult. This is really good news. If you can find these kids, they're more than likely eligible for these benefits. It's just a matter of connecting them to the help. So if you have any questions about this, there's lots of information. You can contact us. Anybody who needs an ITIN, please direct them to me. And now you're going to hear from Ansel, who seems to really understand how to help people around Massachusetts get free tax assistance. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, guys. My name is Ansel Tejada. I am the program manager for MASCAP, which is the Massachusetts Association of Community Action and their partnership, which is a group of 23 federally mandated community action agencies, which are out there to fight the fight for anti-poverty. So, in connection this year with the Shaw Foundation, we have been partnered up to create Find Your Funds. So, next slide, please. And what we really, really want to do, so at the base of our messaging this year is, this is the year to file. This is the year for all of your clients to file. This is the year for you to file. This is the year for all your family members to file. There are thousands and thousands of dollars on the table right now for all of your clients and for yourself and your family members that we cannot let go of. We have in the state of Massachusetts, we have various sites which are run by volunteer, which are vital sites. So the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program exists in Massachusetts, in which over 80 sites in the whole entire state of Massachusetts exist out there to get you free tax preparation help. And the website Find Your Funds can lead you right to all these sites. They have links to not only my Massachusetts MASCAP site, but there's also another coalition out there which is really huge, which is Boston Tax Help Coalition. So the website will lead you directly to where you can get free tax assistance with both federally and state taxes. Very important to both mention that we provide services in both federal and state taxes. Because the only way to qualify for all this money that we're talking about that's on the table is to do a tax return this year. You have to file it, whether you had income, no income. There's different things that we can do out there to try to get you connected to all these credits that are out there, so that you can have all this money in your pocket, not only you, your clients, or your family members. Remember, you do not need to have incomes to get the payments. There's certain tax credits that were made this year to not have any income requirements in there, and getting this money does not impact the status of people you live with. So that was one of the questions when it came to the immigration things, as Angela was able to explain. Remember, this is money that's out there for us to get for not only yourselves, your clients, your family members. So if you look at the messaging on the board, is once again, I know that we are really being on point with this, but this year you can file whether you had income or not, depending on your situation, your family situation, and get some federal money in your pocket. So remember, child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, different requirements on both. But if from what you hear, you believe that you qualify for any of those, please make sure that you file your taxes this year. It is very important. It is crucial for you to go out there. So consider applying for these thousands of dollars. Even if you have low income, no income, or have never even filed before, our free tax preparation sites, the volunteer income tax assistance programs, can definitely help you file these taxes for free, you and your client. So if you go to findyourfunds.org, you can find free help out there to file these taxes, so that you can take the burden away from you and definitely be a little bit better, get a little bit better rest, that you know you're going to get IRS certified volunteers that will be able to file your taxes for free and definitely help you out. Next slide. So these are the populations that are so crucial that we get to, and we get this information to. If you know anybody, they had a baby born in 2020 or 2021, there is a high potential that they're missing out on money. They have opened up the age group of who qualifies for certain credits. So children ages 19 to 24, and now over the age of 65 for elderlies who work and don't have children qualify for certain credits. Working without dependent children, the homeless youth and former fosters youth of 18 plus who work, undocumented immigrants with kids with social securities. That is one of the biggest communities that does not go out there and get these funds that are crucial for them to do certain things and just get forward in life. So, and then individuals and family experiencing homelessness. We are all capable of knowing somebody that could use this help. So it is crucial that we get out there. It is important. We're at a pivotal point that we can get a lot of people, a lot of money, hopefully. So take a look at this key population. And if you know anybody that kind of falls in within that, if you know somebody that falls within this group categories, get out there and let's get them to file. Next. So now I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. Sarah's going to explain a little bit about how you can use the outreach material and how you can go ahead and get your clients the information needed.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Ansel. My name is Sarah McKittrick. I am a project manager at the Shaw Foundation, and just want to take a quick moment to walk you through some of the materials that we have available for you to spread the word. So first, you've heard us talk about this a lot. Our website, findyourfunds.org, is available in 6 languages, and it's mobile friendly. So we really designed it for use on the phone. And we kept things simple, 3 clicks or less. What could I get, how much, and where can I get free help? I will say that we have a very detailed FAQ section for those who want to dig deeper into some of the, I see a lot of good questions in the chat, and some answers are in our FAQ, and of course we'll answer them today as well. And you can always reach out, but that is also a very good resource. Something else I wanted to call out is our outreach materials page on our website. So there you will find flyers, social posts, email templates, robocall templates, text message templates, everything you hopefully will need to get the word out to your community. And I should mention that those are in 11 languages, and they're downloadable and easy to use. This year, we actually have a couple options. So our first flyer is directing folks to this website to find your funds, but we also developed a customizable flyer, excuse me. So if you have a VITA site near you, or if you're already offering free tax prep or want to direct someone to you, you can type in the contact information there and adjust it and customize it for your purposes. You can also feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And I also want to call out that we have a flyer specific for babies born in 2020 and 21. If you see at the bottom right-hand corner, so feel free to use that. And coming soon, we are developing materials for newly eligible folks for the EITC. So those ages 65 and older, and the 19 and 24-year-old group. So keep checking our website, and we'll be developing resources for those folks soon. In terms of best practices for outreach, so first, I know a lot of you on this call engaged in really significant outreach last year, so just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing that, and also see if you can do it again. So some best practices that we really learned for some deep outreach that was done last year. So obviously, communicate in ways that work best for your clients, whether that's an email, a robocall, a text, whatever you can do, please utilize the resources available to do so. We did have a lot of success with text messaging last year. So a couple examples, Chelsea Public Schools sent a text message out to all of their families last year, and we had over 1,100 visits to the website that day. And Angela, actually from Greater Boston Legal Services, received a few hundred phone calls just from one text message. And she was able to help people get ITINs and help people file and help just answer questions and get them the right information they needed in their language. So I did include what they did on the right here. And there were a ton of other districts that did this work. I know Revere and Chicopee and Boston and others. So thank you again. The other way that you can get the word out is hosting a virtual event with one of our tax experts, and we can do this in a variety of languages. So just wanted to call out that La Colaborativa in Chelsea has hosted a couple events with Angela from Greater Boston Legal Services. And Eloisa from Brazilian Women's Group is hosting a Facebook Live in Portuguese on Thursday with the Boston Tax Help Coalition. And I know other districts have actually done the same thing. So if you're interested in hosting something, please reach out and let us know. Other best practices, obviously, please send the messages out more than once. Sometimes it takes folks a few times to really have something resonate. And where possible, I've mentioned this before, but really link to our website as a source of support. And if you have a phone number that you can use or a local VITA site that you can highlight, that tends to really work better in terms of connecting families. So if you have questions, or if you want me to connect you with someone in your area, please reach out to me and I will be happy to help you. I also just wanted to call out a couple quick things that we're doing. We're starting a large outreach campaign as of this week, kicking it off today. That'll include media and languages other than English. So once we have those, we'll post them on our website so that you can use the videos in multiple languages if you'd like. We'll be working with targeted cities and school districts again. And then we're also going to be working with our state, and they've been really incredible at getting the message out to their constituents. So huge thanks to the Department of Transitional Assistance. They're going to be sending a text message to all SNAP, EA, EDC, and TANF recipients in a few weeks, and also a notice will be going out in the coming weeks to all recipients, to all of their clients. And then our Department of Housing is also sending a text this week to individuals who are rolling off rental assistance. So thanks to everyone at the state for their work on this, and looking forward to getting the word out to their clients. And I think now, so again, just feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'm going to turn it back to Ansel, who's going to walk you through how you can apply and where you can get free help.
Yeah, guys, as I mentioned, that it's my passion simply because I have worked at a local VITA site, so a local volunteer income tax assistance agency, and I know how, like, all these credits, you see it as money coming in and things like that, but on the other side of it, I have worked with many of our clients and I see what this money transforms into. So I know how important it is for our families to have this money in their pocket. So if you are at home and you or your clients feel more comfortable doing virtually, we have partnered up with this agency, which runs a website in connection with Find Your Funds, which is called Get Your Refund. Those are two different things, but Get Your Refund allows you to sign up directly through our Vita sites, and they will link up the clients directly to Vita sites and be able to do touchless. I know that a lot of our clients have a lot of concerns with different things, but they will get you in connection with that so that you could do online tax preparation. So in person, we have our Vita sites location. As I mentioned, over 80 sites in the whole entire state of Massachusetts. A great concentration of them in the Boston area, but also they are throughout the state. We have sites all the way out to the Cape, all the way out to the Berkshires. Actually, our big Vita kickoff this year for EITC awareness, one of them was out in the Berkshires for MassCap. So we were very excited to be out there. So if you look at the distribution on this map, you can be connected to a local Vita site that can definitely help you and your clients out when it comes to tax preparation. So once again, go to findyourfunds.org/apply for funds, and you can find a local Vita site that will definitely be able to help you. Not included in this map are also AARP sites, which is a site that specifically tries to help the elderly community. That's another resource that we're adding on to the website as an evolving website, is a breathing, living website. We keep on adding new information on there every single day. So what you see there is the most up to date, and we will keep always updating on a daily, weekly basis. So next slide. So if you need ITIN help, as we mentioned, take a picture of the screen, do whatever you can, because Angela is amazing at Greater Boston Legal Services. She has put herself out there and has been able to help us out with the ITIN applications. So her information is on the screen, as you can see there. Definitely reach out to her because she can definitely help you. If you have a tax problem or a tax dispute that's beyond our Vita sites, because remember, a lot of our Vita sites can work in between, what problem resolution and what you need. So if it's beyond that, definitely reach out to our low income tax clinics that are our clinics that are specifically from the partnered up with the IRS to help you with these tax problems and disputes. So we have the Boston, which is the Greater Boston Legal Services, LITC, and LITC stands for Low Income Tax Clinic, and the phone numbers is there. We have one in Jamaica Plain, Legal Services Center of Harvard Law. We have in Lynn, the Northeast Legal Aid, LITC, and we also have in Springfield, which is our Springfield partners. So if we look at those, that's where you go if you or your clients have any problems when it comes to additional support, problems, dispute, or an ITIN with Angela up there. Next. And now is our Q&A. We're looking for questions and answers. I know I saw a lot of them in the chat. I try to answer them, but I'll kick it back to, I believe Allison is going to run us through the Q&A.
Yes, thank you so much, Ansel and Angela and Sarah, for walking through all of those these really important issues. I see there are a lot of questions in the Q&A, so I will maybe go through some of them and call on panelists to answer them, but other panelists should feel free to chime in. So I don't know if we want to stop sharing the screen, that way we can all see each other for this quick panel discussion. So I'll start with, there's a lot of questions here for Angela around immigrant families and I-10 holders. So I just want to highlight some of the questions around what I-10 holders are available to claim, and then how do you get an I-10, and what is the waiting period for applying for an I-10. So I'll turn it over to Angela to maybe respond to some of the I-10 questions around how to file for an I-10, and then what credits I-10 holders are eligible for.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my connection is not very good this morning. I apologize for that. But yeah, so it takes a while to get your I-10 because you have to electronically file. It's not very difficult. You just need a current passport. You need that passport certified And I can do that as a certified acceptance agent. So then you don't have to send an original passport to the IRS. And I'm dealing with a few people who did and can't find it. So I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. And you would file the I-10 application along with the tax return and wait about 100 days at the least for that to be processed. So it does take some time because you cannot electronically file. And I-10s, they expire if you don't use them at least once. On a tax return in 3 years, and every year a certain series of them will expire depending on the middle digits that you can check on the IRS website to see if yours is expired. And you would need to renew it in the same way that you applied for it in the beginning, which is by getting your passport certified and doing the same type of application. About I-10s is they're just tax processing documents. They're not a first step in an immigration process. They're not work authorization. They're not something you can show an employer that shows that you have an authorization to work. They really are just to allow you to file that tax return. And on the other hand, people shouldn't really be worried about it because they're not immigration enforcement tools. It's not something the IRS is going to be handing over to immigration services if, unless there's some kind of outstanding, very serious criminal case. There are privacy rules about what's given to the IRS, so people shouldn't be afraid about applying for them.
Great, thanks, Angela. Okay, there's a lot of questions. I'm gonna start collating some of them together since many of them are related. So I'm gonna send this next set of questions to Ansel, and that is really around how do people know what payments they maybe have already received, and how do they check the status of those payments from the IRS?
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So very important this year, there are 2 letters being sent out to our taxpayers. One letter being Form 6419. That one is the one that's going to tell us how much in advanced child tax credit the taxpayer received, if any, or what it may have been. So that be on the lookout for that. Those letters already went out, so a lot of our taxpayers should have them on hand. If they have not received that letter, or for some reason it got lost in the mail or whatever it may have been, they can also create and log in on their IRS website into their own personal portal and be able to have it there. So very important. If you need any help creating your IRS login, it is a little bit tricky. They use a process called ID Me. We are some of our tax sites, Vital sites, are more than happy to try to help you, and there's plenty of help out there for that. For the stimulus payment, specifically for EIP 3 or stimulus payment number 3, which was the one that we got last year, letter 6475 got sent out. And I'm sorry if I'm using all these numbers, it's just the IRS form. That's the actual form number that they use. But it literally tells you if you receive your stimulus payment. All it's going to say is, did you receive it or not? Or at least what the IRS expects you to have received it or not. If for some reason you did not receive this letter, or you may have lost it, once again, you can create an IRS login, and in there it will tell you what the IRS believes you have received it. Now, if for some reason you disagree with what the IRS expectations are, as I had some clients, unfortunately, certain things happen and they really did not receive their payments. There are steps that we can take at Vital Sites to try to help you recuperate that money. So it's very important for you to do your own little internal investigation and make sure that you really have received this funds. Typically, we want to make sure that we get the right number, simply because if for some reason it is in error or whatever it may have been, it does take a little bit longer to process because this has to be a manual processing of the documentation. Even though we e-file, if the number does not match what the IRS has, it will be a manual processing, and it does take a little bit longer for you to get your refund. So those are the steps that we take in order to find out.
Thank you, Ansel. Okay, so this question, again, I'm trying to collate some really terrific questions in the chat. It's for Angela or Ansel, whomever wants to take this one. And that is really around payments that were claimed on behalf of children, whether they're stimulus payment, the EIPs, stimulus payments, or child tax credit to a non-custodial parent, how to through the custodial parent to claim those benefits. And then also, as part of this, a number of questions have come up really around in cases where there is domestic violence, how survivors of domestic violence are protected in those situations as well.
Yeah, we have a number of those cases at GBLS. So there is recourse to somebody who did not get advanced child tax credit payments that they should have gotten, and a non-custodial parent erroneously claimed those credits. And so, for argument's sake, it's usually the mom who didn't get the money and she's taking care of the kids. If she files her taxes and the kids have already been claimed again for this year, she'll have to file by paper. So you will not be able to file electronically, but you can file your tax return. You can claim the entire credit, including whatever was erroneously given, and it'll set up a controversy with the IRS, and then the IRS will audit it, and you will be able to prove that you have the right to claim those children. So there is help that you would need some more advocacy to do that. And
I believe Angela might have done, but I'll finish up.
that's exercised on these poor folks, and these women really have recourse. Mostly their moms.
Thank you, Ansel. Anything you wanted to add?
Oh no, I was just gonna complete what she was exactly what she said. That I'll ditto that. It does take a little bit more advocacy on that end of it. So both most of our either Vita sites or with the LITC's help at Greater Boston, we're more than happy to assist anybody that has any of those issues.
Mm-hmm. And we will send out to those of you who have registered for this webinar, we'll send out, in addition to the recording, we can send out the numbers of the places that we are referencing here. So the MassCap Vita sites, as well as the Boston Tax Help Coalition and GBLS, all of our partners on findyourfunds.org, as well as the materials that are available in multiple languages as well on Find Your Funds. So so all these places that are ready and willing to help clients, you can make sure you're directing them to. The next question that I am just that's come up a couple of times in the chat is really what counts as income. So Social Security benefits, survivor benefits, other benefits that families or individuals may have. And then also, what about people who are working but receiving under the table income? What are they potentially eligible for, and how do they file their taxes?
I'll try to take a stab at it for the most part. Benefits that you receive from an assistance program, exactly what those are, like Social Security and things like that, are generally put under benefits. So they're not taxable income. Generally speaking, they're not reportable income, so SNAP benefits and things like that. Social Security and any of those type of things. There's other factors that may make them taxable. So if the person also works at the same time and may have earned income on the other end. But in general terms, those are benefits that do not count towards earned income. Such as also, just to kind of put it all in there, which is one of the biggest things that we were talking about, simply as a progression from the pandemic, unemployment benefits, and that many have received. So there has been a push to change that into earned income because it came from a job and things like that. But generally speaking, those are benefits, and they do not count as income. And then there was a question about under the table. Can you repeat it? I'm sorry, Allison.
Yes, the question is really around workers who are paid under the table. Can they claim stimulus checks if they didn't file in 2020, and what do they need to do that?
That's a very loaded question, unfortunately. Depends what your definition of under the table is and how you're going to file for that money. So I'll leave that part alone. I won't touch the under the table part of it because that's more of a personal question that we would have to see the scenario of what they mean by that. But in general terms, a stimulus can be claimed because a stimulus was for anybody that was here. So there's sort of like your free file portals and things like that we could definitely assist with, and they could be claimed with the stimulus piece of it. The other part is a personal one-on-one conversation that needs to be had with the client.
And it should be emphasized that people who get cash income, they can file their taxes. That a lot of undocumented immigrants, they're working, but they don't get W-2s, they don't get 1099s necessarily. So they can file their income, and the IRS expects that they do. If you have $400 in self-employment income, you're theoretically required to file a tax return. So they don't care how you're getting your money. You're supposed to file your taxes, and then you have to engage in a conversation about how much did you make? Go through your bank accounts, try to figure it out, and do some education about maybe estimated tax payments that people should be making throughout the year. Really misclassified workers, and we've done substitute W-2s for them. Didn't issue this person W-2, but yes, that's the short answer to, if you make cash income, you can file your taxes and qualify for these credits.
All right, I know we're running short on time, but there's a couple of additional questions around dependent definition. So I'm just gonna ask both ends of the spectrum here. So what are dependents who are over the age of 18, who are still claimed on their parents' taxes, eligible for? And then on the other end of the sort of age spectrum, for elderly people who are dependents of, their caregivers. In this case, the question is really around an elderly person who is a dependent of her daughter. How are they able to file taxes, and what they might be eligible for?
I didn't hear that very well. So Ansel, did you want to answer?
Over 18, so they were asking about over 18 dependents that still live with their parents, and over 65 or an elderly that they get taken care of. So in general, you have to go by different rules. So meaning, did the person live with you for at least half of the year? Did you support this person for at least more than half of their support? And where the person that's over the age of 18 but under the age of 25 still in school. So these are some of the things that we look at in order to determine dependability and where do they fall at as far as dependents when it comes to the younger side. On the elderly side, it just goes into, did the person live with you, and did you provide more than 50% of support for them for what they needed. So as long as we meet some of those categories, and then we get into more details when it comes into it, but those are the basic categories that we look at. Did the person live with you, and you provided more than 50% of their support within a year within the last tax year.
And am I correct in saying when someone is declaimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return, they themselves cannot file themselves and get tax credits as well? I think that's also part of this question too.
Yeah, I think I missed that part. I'm sorry. But yeah.
No, that's okay. I didn't say it out loud. I was just rereading the question and realizing that I think that's what they're asking.
Yeah, and they have to analyze which credits they're applying for and what kind of dependent will qualify. So sometimes it can get a little complicated, but because each one might have slightly different criteria.
Great. Okay, I see that we are running up on time, and so I just want to take the opportunity to thank all of you who attended the webinar. I'm sorry that we were unable to get to all of the questions, but as I mentioned, we are going to provide a recording of this webinar. We're also going to provide the contact information of all of these terrific resources. So particularly for some of the questions that you all have about particular clients or yourself that you are maybe wondering how to navigate some specific issues, please feel free to reach out and avail yourself of these resources. We want to make sure that as all of us have said multiple times throughout this, we want to make sure that individuals and families in the Commonwealth are able to get the, thousands of dollars in federal benefits, as well as the state earned income tax credit that's coming our way, that really could be meaningful in family budgets. So thank you all so much for attending, and we look forward to connecting with you as well. We also are doing a rebroadcast of this webinar at 5:30 this evening. If any of your colleagues are interested in tuning in, but they weren't able to come at the noon hour, please feel free to spread the word. Our experts will be here answering questions. The content will be the same, but we'll be available to answer any further questions at 5:30 this evening. Thank you.